If you're already a voice artist, you may want to skip this section. I'd like to give complete newcomers an overview of the work we do. A voiceover artist is generally a freelancer, and as we explained before, they may either be someone with an agent who generates work for them and calls them up when there's a job, or they may be completely independent without an exclusive agent, and then they market themselves and do the work themselves and invoice direct without having to pay an agent a percentage, which is usually 10 or 15%. Both types of voiceover artists would be encouraged to have a studio at home, because even if you have an exclusive agent who finds all the work for you, quite often clients want to hear a custom audition for every job, and that has to be recorded somewhere. Do you really want to spend the time and money hiring an external studio just for an audition that you may not get? That's why it's important to set up a home recording facility, even just a basic one at home. In a later chapter, we'll go into great detail as to what equipment you'll need and where you can set up your recording facility at home. So what types of job are you likely to get? If you're someone with an exclusive agent, you'll probably end up getting far higher paying jobs than someone without an agent. However, the number of jobs may be far fewer. That's because most agents need to earn a living as well. So they're not going to bother chasing up the little $50 or $100 jobs when they could be working on getting the $5,000 TV commercial jobs for you. Whereas if you are a type of voiceover like we are, independent with various non-exclusive agents around the world looking out for work for us, then you are likely to have many more jobs and be busier. But the actual jobs would be probably lower paid. But that's no problem, because rather than hanging around waiting for the phone to ring from your agent, you're busy every day on a variety of maybe smaller jobs, but the little jobs add up, and they add up big. I personally don't mind chasing my own work and doing my own invoicing. If you prefer someone else to do that for you, and you're happy to pay that person, then go down the route of having an exclusive agent, which means every job that you get, even people who contact you direct, has to go through your agent, as that's the agreement you will have signed.
The types of jobs that you can get as a voiceover are extremely varied. We wrote down recently about 50 separate types of jobs that you could get, which include all sorts of things, not just the usual things people think about: training videos, commercials. Voiceovers are needed for all sorts of things: phone announcements, award ceremonies, lift announcements, even reversing truck warnings. And don't think the world is saturated with voiceover artists at the moment, because there's always room for people who are good all-rounders and willing to learn to improve their skills and improve the number of voices they can do. Media is being generated in massive amounts every day around the world, and the amount is going up all the time. Since the pandemic started and conferences got cancelled, how do you think all that information was going to be imparted at all those physical conferences? Where's it all going to go? You know, it turns into recorded means, and the number of corporate communications by recorded means has absolutely rocketed. It's going to get much more and more important to have recorded information by someone who knows how to narrate and record to a high standard. Plus, English versions of originally non-English media are often needed by businesses more and more and more. Now, some people have said that voiceover work would decline with the advent of computer voices, artificial intelligence, and that improvement in voices created by computer would put us all out of work. And maybe on YouTube you've heard some examples like Faith, the first AI that can cry. Have you seen that video? I mean, it's impressive, but it's strange that the music is mixed quite high, possibly to hide the artifacts on this artificial voice. And I wonder how long it took them to actually get them to do it. Now, I'm sure that AI voices may well take over our voice work in some areas, like automated announcements on the telephone, and maybe even some low-budget training programs, but the true depth, breadth, and emotions of a real human voice are very hard to replicate by a computer program. And why go to all that flippin' effort when you can simply communicate to a human what you need in a few seconds that would take hours or days to program on a computer? Very strange. In particular, emotions are very hard for a computer voice to emulate, and that's why this particular course that focuses a lot on character voices and emotional acting will be even more important as time goes on.
So what are the practicalities of voiceover work? Usually a script gets sent to you after someone likes your show reels on your website, as we went into on a previous section. So the client may send a script and say, I liked the voice style that you had on your corporate show reel, or whatever. And they may also give you an information like, we need the whole script done in 90 seconds. Or they may send you a video that has a rough voiceover on it, and you'll be able to see the pictures, hear the music in the background, and get an idea of the feel of the voiceover style that the end client is looking for. Now, why end client? Well, basically, the end client is the person paying for the whole thing, and you may never get to speak to them. They own the company who are putting the training program out or are paying for the advertising campaign, and so on. They may have hired an advertising agency, and that agency has hired a production company or an animation studio, and then they find a voice agent or use a voice directory website like voices.com or Voice123 or even Fiverr, and you are at the end of this long chain, the voiceover. So in a way, you have the hardest job because you have got to satisfy everyone up the chain all the way to the end client. Of course, if the end client, who's paying for everyone along the chain, loves your voice to begin with, then everyone beneath them will also love your voice too.
Once you're sent the script and the information, you're normally left to get on with it yourself. Record, edit, send back the master files. We've got more details about how to do this in another course about the software program Adobe Audition, but in this one I'll give you a basic overview about using Audition, as well as 2 free audio editing programs later on. You're not always, of course, left alone to record on your own. Sometimes, and this happens always with the high-value, prestigious jobs, you will be directed. You won't be allowed to do it on your own. This means you either go to a physical studio somewhere, or you get in your booth at home, you put your headphones on, switch the loudspeakers off, of course, so the client's comments can't be picked up by the microphone, and you are directed through the session. Now, being directed through your headphones can be particularly stressful if there are more than a couple of people directing you. 1 person, fine. 2 people, yeah, all right. 3 people, oh, flippin' heck. We've been through sessions where many people have all been putting their own direction in, and quite often they've given conflicting advice as to how they want you to record the next take, and the session goes longer and longer. Anyway, after one of these sessions, you normally don't have to edit anything, which is a plus, I suppose. Normally, you're directed via Zoom or Skype or one of the more professional communication systems like IPDTL, IP down the line, or Source Connect. And then you'd simply send the whole of your recording to the production company for editing, and you send in the invoice. Job done. More on directed sessions in much more detail later on. So, we hope you found this basic overview of the world of the voiceover interesting if you're a total newcomer.